And then I just end that statement with a semicolon, like I regularly would. Now, what this should do is put Happy Wednesday into the HTML of the element of the output ID. But watch this, if I save this and if I run it, I'll go ahead and hit refresh. You can see this didn't really update at all. And we see this error over here in my developer tools. It says cannot set property inner HTML of null. Okay, this is happening because the JavaScript is actually loading before before the HTML has loaded. So it's saying, hey, let's find this ID, and it doesn't exist. And so inner HTML of null means that this is null. Okay, we could try to fix this with a couple of things. If I move this script tag down to the bottom and save this, you can see that that is now saying Happy Wednesday. Okay, it gave our HTML a chance to load first, and then we went ahead and referenced our script tag. The other thing that we could do is basically tell our JavaScript, no matter where it's being loaded, to not run anything until the page loads. Okay, and I can do that if I come back over to here. I can just say window dot on load equals function, and then I can put this code inside of here. Okay, and so this will basically anything inside of this function will not run until the page is actually loaded. So even if I had this script tag up here, if I run this, let's go ahead and run this and see if it works. You can see we still get Happy Wednesday showing up here. We don't have an error because it's waiting until the page loads. Okay, so this is how I can force it to wait until the page loads. Or if you don't want to do that, then you can say, hey, and then load the JavaScript after I load all of it. Okay, but you can see that doing this, we went ahead and we put new content into that into this HTML element, okay, referencing by its ID. In our last video, we saw that we could update data on the page from JavaScript by using document.getElementID. Now, what this does that we're not really a big fan of is I don't really have control of when this executes. So you'll see with a lot of websites, if I'm loading data or doing things with the page, I want it actually to be interactive for the user so that they can kind of dictate when things happen. For example, I don't want a login function to get run and try to, show me this form to log in if I didn't click on it. If I'm still reading an article or something. So we can control this with JavaScript using something called functions. Okay, so this is an example of a function right here. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a different function. And so the way that we can do that, here's a nice shortcut. Okay, declaring other variables, we could say, let x equals 5, and declare a variable x with the value 5. Well, I could declare a function with the function keyword instead of let. I could say function print message. Okay, we always have the open and closing parentheses after a function name. And then we have the curly braces to say, hey, anytime this function gets called or invoked, we're going to execute the code inside of these braces. Okay, so now what I could do is I could actually kind of copy and paste that line here, and I'm going to take all of this out. Okay, and so now in my JavaScript, I just have this function called print message, and then when this function is called, we're going to go ahead and put Happy Wednesday into the inner HTML of our output ID, which is a paragraph. Okay, now if I save this and run it, and I come back over here and I refresh it, you can see nothing really happens. Okay, I just realized I'm just referencing JavaScript files. Save that. Okay, so you can see this is a paragraph is showing up because that is what I actually put into the paragraph of that ID, which isn't going to last long, right? As soon as this function gets called, then we're going to replace that with Happy Wednesday. But until this function gets called, that will never happen. So I can do a couple of things. Right here, down below, I could put another script tag. And inside that script tag, I could say print message, and that will effectively call that function. Okay, so I come into here, and I'll refresh the page. And you can see it runs so fast that it called this function immediately. Looking at this, you can see that looks a little bit confusing. But inside of here, down, we're calling that print message function, and then it comes here. Well, in our next video, we're going to look at how we can use a button so that the user can actually click on a button and then call that function themselves. All right, so to do this, let's go ahead and make a button. So in my HTML over here, I'm just gonna start typing button in here and I'm gonna tab or enter to make a button. And if I say call function, I can call it anything. Okay, really this isn't naming the button, but what it does is that, so we're going right out. This is gonna make a button, okay? And whatever I actually put in between the opening button tag and the closing button tag is what will show up on button. Okay, now I can click it all day, it doesn't do anything because I'm not telling it to do anything yet. So let's go back to our text editor. And what we wanted to do is call this function, right? So I'm gonna cut that, take it out, and then in here, we're going to add an attribute, just like ID or source or name, we're gonna add an attribute button that is on click. And then we're gonna put that. Okay, so we say on click, we put the name of the function, that we can delete, and let's save it. See if we get any errors. We don't have any errors in the developer tools over here. I'm gonna hit refresh, we're good, and I'm gonna call the function. And you can see that highlight, that lit up purple a little bit, and our text changed to Happy Wednesday. Okay, if I go to my sources, it says that as soon as this function gets called, we're going to change the inner HTML of artist, we'll then call it something that we can. Okay, so we say on click, we put the name of the function. That we believe is type. Okay. All right, so to do this, let's go ahead and make a button. So in my HTML over here, I'm just gonna start typing button in here, and I'm gonna hit tab or enter to make a button. And if I say call function, I can call something. Okay, really this isn't naming the button, but what it does is that's the one right out. This is gonna make a button. Okay, and whatever I actually put in between the opening button tag and the closing button tag is what will show up on the button. Okay, now I can click it all day, it doesn't do anything because I'm not telling it to do anything yet. So let's go back to our text editor. And what we wanted to do is call this function, right? So I'm gonna cut that, take it out, and then in here, we're going to add an attribute, just like ID or source or name, we're gonna add an attribute to the button that is on click. And then we're gonna put it in. Okay, so we say on click, we put the name of the function, that we can delete, and let's save it. See if we get any errors. We don't have any errors in the developer tools over here. I'm gonna hit refresh, we're good, and I'm gonna call the function. And you can see that that lit up purple a little bit, and our what?
No, but couldn't get my buttons to work. Something saucy.
Our text changed to Happy Wednesday. Okay, if I go to my sources, it says that as soon as this function gets called, we're going to change the inner HTML of our output ID, which is this paragraph, to Happy Wednesday. Okay, so I'm going to refresh this just so we can see that again. It says this is a paragraph, because that's what we put into in between the opening and closing tags of our paragraph. And then I'm going to put a breakpoint right here, just so we can watch this work. I hit call function, boom, it calls print message just like we wanted it to. And I can actually highlight this whole thing and see that it finds our paragraph with the ID of output. Okay, well, if I look at inner HTML of that, you can see it says this is a paragraph. And we're basically going to take that piece of data and give it a new value, which is going to be Happy Wednesday. And so I'm going to let that continue.